Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered this week's Marvel books as well as our Boom Studios titles for the week. Excuse me. And now it's time to move on to this week's DC books. Kicking things off with Detective Comics number 1059. Where we left off, Detective, the Arkham Tower story, Shadows of the Bat, had just wrapped up, and Batman had returned from his post Fear State sabbatical. So we open the Riddler apparently has a pirate radio show now. He's talking to the people of Gotham. It's very pump up the volume style Riddler. I kind of like it. But he asks if the Gothamites have questions, because he thinks they do. He says that the answer is always there if you look for it. And then he asks a riddle. When is a criminal not a criminal? Among those watching his broadcast is Batman. And then the next day at Gotham City Courthouse, Dead Donovan's daughter, who's a judge, sentences Martin Ashen to 25 years in Blackgate Penitentiary without the possibility of parole for the crime of second-degree felony arson. Deb leaves the courtroom. And finds a bomb in her trash can. Runs out of her office. The call goes out. Batman shows up, finds the bomb, but discovers that there's a second bomb. Goes off, and the judge is taken to the hospital, and her mother, Deb, is told of what's happened to her daughter. Before Caroline's at the hospital, though, she does notice someone with a bandana over the lower half of their face outside the courthouse, however. At the hospital, Deb and her daughter argue because, well, they're both bullheaded. As Deb's leaving, she runs into Bruce. And Deb feels something isn't right about all this, though. And she suggests that Bruce try and use his charms to get Caroline to tell Deb something she doesn't already know. Apparently, Carolyn and Bruce once almost met previously at a New Year's party for a guy named Darby Turner. Apparently the guys at Darby's parties usually are arrogant bores. That's what she thought Bruce would be. And Bruce suggests perhaps that maybe at some point they get a cheap drink sometime. Batman's looking in the garage. Bruce looks over surveillance footage looking for something off, and he does find it. Going to investigate the source of the maintenance uniforms. he comes upon an online brain influencer by the name of Sarah Pett, who immediately just turns herself over to him. But the Riddler does his broadcasting, and this time asking an actual riddle of Batman. What is the call that can only be heard after the fat lady sings? Batman is currently at a scene of a murder at an opera house. The victim was stabbed in a seat at the end of the show. The curtain call. But then, while talking about one of the officers present, Batman overhears a call for a gas attack at the bank of Gotham, and, well, Batman goes and investigates. Tracks down the potential perpetrator. After helping some of those within the bank, before he can get any answers on the perpetrator, the perp shoots himself. Batman then wonders what Riddler's up to. While Carolyn gets a call. Apparently, she may have been involved in the explosive. And so another question is asked. Another riddle is asked of Batman. When's a murderer not a murderer? The bodies are piling up, and that is where our A story ends, which brings us to our B story. Gotham Girl Interrupted. Okay, so Gotham Girl was introduced during Tom King's run on Batman. Her and her brother Gotham were engineered to basically have Superman's powers and power levels, and briefly worked with Batman, but then things kind of went sideways, and Gotham Girl ended up working with the Thomas Wayne Batman during City of Bane, and was in Arkham Tower. But she's looking into. Apparently, there's a website that using her name and image. She's out and on her own. But she's asking questions, but all of her leads have dried up. Turns out Gotham Girl is currently staying in the abandoned Wayne Manor and talking with one of the broken gargoyle heads. She's attending Gotham High's North Campus. She's gotten involved in theater, and but she's still having some dissociative episodes. One of the guys in the theater group was also in Arkham Tower and is trying to get her to go to a group again and just talking, but then she has this dissociative episode with which she imagines incinerating together heat vision and blowing up the school, but she takes out her stress on the damaged remains of the manor. Then she realizes that Andre, the student that seems to be the student in question, might actually be someone involved. Goes back to the school and finds Andre, gun in hand, and gunshot in the head. That is where the issue ends. The A story. It's nice to see. I have admittedly been wondering what's become of Gotham Girl, at least in City of Bane. Though I wasn't reading Batman at the time, but well, if you're on the internet, you can usually find out what's going on pretty easily. That said, I just want to say that when it comes to the A story, I really like the new look on Riddler. Works for him. Though to be fair, my favorite, I still wish that the Paul Dini Edward Nygma PI arc hadn't just been kind of disregarded the way it was, but another topic for another day. Moving on to our next book, we've got Harley Quinn number 14. Where we left off, Harley had been framed for murder and locked up in Blackgate. So the issue begins with Batwoman discovering a dead judge at the foot of a statue of Lady Justice. Eyes scooped out and in the scale of justice. Batwoman feels she's being watched, goes to the roof of the courthouse, and ends up taking on Guilty, who claims to be Gotham's Judgment, who also framed Harley Quinn. Harley, meanwhile, is in Blackgate, but she admits that while this isn't her first time in Blackgate, it is the first time she's there for a crime she didn't commit. Adding that her crimes always have a certain flair, a certain je ne sais quoi. Kevin comes to see her and explains that there's been some, that his girlfriend Sam suggested might have a lawyer that could help her, but it seems like Kevin thinks that maybe she actually did do it. But Kevin's not sure if he thinks she did or not. And him and Sam talk, though Kevin notices a cut on Sam's arm. And that's what happened, and she doesn't want to talk about it, though. And he also asks Sam would check with any of her friends, anyone she knows in the PD, for information about Harley's case. And she said she'll try. Things aren't going great for Harley in Blackgate, though. Her rep isn't what it used to be. And a prison fight breaks out. However, it's stopped temporarily stopped by the arrival of Batwoman, who wants to talk to Harley on account of the fact that the crime that Harley's in Blackgate 4 seems awfully similar to the crime she was investigating under the issue. And so Batwoman basically breaks Harley out of prison. And that is where the issue ends, with Harley stating that Batwoman's incredibly firm. Like, her muscles are firm, and her whole personality. And yeah. Fun issue. I think they're trying to lay the groundwork for the possibility that Sam, Kevin's girlfriend, is in fact our new vigilante. But in part due to also previews for July, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Deathstroke Incorporated, number 8. And I want to take a moment and just say how much I love this cover. Like, seriously. Nice homage to a classic Deathstroke, the Terminator cover from, I want to say, the 90s. But this is, of course, part of Shadow War. Ra's al Ghul was apparently assassinated by Deathstroke, though Deathstroke didn't do it. It was someone masquerading as Deathstroke. And so both Batman and Deathstroke are trying to figure out who did it, while Robin appears intent on going after Deathstroke. And it had to be Deathstroke. And So yeah, Al Ghul has sent various various assassins in the League of Assassins after Deathstroke's secret society. But Angel Breaker is dealing with one in particular, Raptor. In San Francisco, Slade and Respawn are taking a tour of San Francisco's underground. Turns out that back when Titan's Tower was in San Francisco, Deathstroke put in a safe house, in San Francisco's underground. And since the boss even has a small arsenal, as well as targets of the Titans. From the New Teen Titans era. So, Robin, Starfire, Raven, Changeling, and Cyborg. And Respawn suggests maybe, take out his own eye, try to be more like his father, but, well, Slade explains that no, I'm the last person you want to be like. And Deathstroke's thinking that maybe perhaps Talia hired the assassin to take out her father. Speaking of which, Batman is with Talia. When Angel Breaker arrives with Raptor. Though apparently Angel Breaker knows Ghostmaker. And so Batman saves Raptor and escapes from, makes his escape. Angel Breaker has to follow Raptor. As Talia figures that Raptor will try to warn Deathstroke, which will then lead the League directly to Deathstroke. He does. And Raptor tells Slade that Batman's after him too, which leads Slade to say that him and Respawn will be stuck in San Francisco longer than they thought. However, then their power gets cut, and, well, they have guests. Ravager and Robin. And that is where the issue ends. Now, side note, this is actually continued in Robin number 13, which I forgot to pick up Wednesday. It's not a book I usually get, so yeah, it slipped my mind. But it will be. I'll at least try to get it by this upcoming week's roundup. Moving on to our next book, we've got Justice League number 75, and yes, you are reading that cover correctly. The Death of the Justice League. So this doesn't continue out of the last arc or anything. So, but in Kahndaq. Black Adam is taken. Batman's taken in Gotham. Wonder Woman from Themyscira. Green Lantern, John Stewart from Oa. Hawkgirl from the Totality. Superman from the Orbit of Warworld. Zatanna from Central City. Aquaman from Atlantis. Martian Manhunter from Washington. Black Canary from Star City, though before she can be teleported away, Green Arrow grabs on and goes with her. They've been teleported over to the House of Heroes by Dr. Multiverse. And President Superman explains to Superman what happened. Basically, goes over the events of Justice League Incarnate, explaining that the Great Darkness is coming. The Spectre's dead. So they go to take on, they go to the heart of everything, a ruined world. They find Pariah, planning to basically destroy the multiverse with the aid of his Dark Army, consisting of Darkseid, Eclipso, Doomsday, Necron, Ares, the Great Darkness, and numerous others, including Shadow Demons. But the League fights valiantly. Of course, these versions of the villains aren't their usual selves, so. But it's revealed that part of the Great Darkness's army is the Quintessence, and the Spectre seemingly kills Green Lantern. Green Arrow manages to damage Pariah's machine, and is promptly has squashed by Doomsday, dying in Black Canary's arms. The machine is Pariah uses his abilities and kills Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Black Adam tries to make Pariah pay, but no. Pariah does the same thing to the Justice League Incarnate, and they manage to knock each other out. Back at the Hall of Justice, everyone's trying to figure out where the Justice League is, to no avail, when Black Adam crashed into the hall, explaining that they're all dead. The League is dead. And that is where the issue ends. This is actually setting things up for DC's upcoming event, Dark Crisis. As I understand it, the Justice League line that was seen in Future State Justice League will be taking over for the Justice League. So that's cool. Moving on to our next book, we've got Dark Knights of Steel number 6. Where we left off, Batman told Superman the truth of his parentage, and Superman beat the holy hell out of him and left him for dead. Batman was found by a farmer and his wife, Jonathan and Martha Kent, and taken to their farm. That said, war is coming. So we begin in the Kingdom of Storms. John Constantine is drunk when Tim Drake comes to see him. Drake explaining that he was aware that John, cared for King Jefferson, the late King Jefferson. However, Constantine explains he knows that Tim Drake is actually one of the Batman's Robins. And before being potentially killed, he escapes with a message for the Kingdom of El, which he delivers, explaining that King Jefferson has been killed, apparently by Zala Jor-El. But the story didn't change. However, he bribed and threatened. Diana explains that if the Kingdom of Storms goes to war, then Hippolyta will join them. But General Waller gives the Queen some advice that if Hippolyta were to die, Diana becomes Queen of the Amazons. Jimmy Olsen's keeping an eye out for Batman, for Clark, or for Kal-El. But Kal-El leaves, flies off. Constantine summons forth Etrigan the Demon, explaining he wishes to speak with Etrigan's head. And so Ra's al Ghul is there. It seems that Constantine wants a favor. Resurrection of either... Sadly, King Jefferson has a hole in his chest. But Prince Jacob can be revived. All he wants in return are the Titans, the children. He just wants their location. Turns out that Kal-El has gone to Amazonia, not wanting to fight, but to talk. But yeah, when you're attacked by a lot of people, well, yeah. And so Queen Hippolyta runs him through. Comes to, tied to, bound by the lasso of truth, and Lois Lane comes to speak with him, wanting to know if you know what's really going on, trying to put all the pieces together. But it appears that the Amazons are already en route to the Kingdom of El. The war is about to begin, and that is where the issue ends. Seriously, this book, this series is so good. It's honestly one of the books I look forward to every month at this point. Moving on to our last book of the week, we've got Rogues, Book 2. Where we left off, Captain Cold had managed to reunite all of the core members of the Rogues for one last job. The vault in Gorilla City. And the issue begins with Director Cameron Chase, the DEO, getting the news that Evan McCulloch, second Mirror Master, broke out of his rehab facility in Keystone. And that Len Snart's PO hasn't seen him, hasn't heard anything from him for a few days, and Lisa Snart hasn't been at work either, because they're on their way to Africa. Trickster having paid for the trip, and they arrive, and well, yeah, Trickster basically looks at the scene as declared it a dump. They got a boat, though the boat is ashore, not in the water. Magenta takes care of that, though the headaches are, well, yeah. Turns out that Captain Cold can skipper a boat. Him and Golden Glider's mom taught him how. Some arguments on the boat along the way. They make it to Gorilla City, which appears to be nothing but a bunch of tree houses. similar to Endor, but Trickster points it, shows them the truth. It's an illusion. They manage to get in. There's a service tunnel, and they make their way into the real Gorilla City. It appears to be a hypermodern metropolis underground, run by Grodd, who appears to be running it in the manner of a mob boss. He's having a meeting with his lieutenants, one of whom he ends up killing. Shortly around the time his wife and son show up. But there appear to be, and one of Grodd's lieutenants has a source within the Gorilla City PD. Meanwhile, the rogues have arrived and are getting the lay of the land. Trickster is beating people at cards, but he's saved by Bronze Tiger and Golden Glider. They plan to go after the vault, though it appears there's another building. There's something built into a mountainside that a lot of power is going in and out of. But they're Golden Glider is working on a new plan. And they go their separate ways to, basically work on their own parts of the plan but Cold's mad about how things are going and has to kind of deal with his inner demons when he's attacked by Grodd, who wants to know what Cold is doing in Gorilla City. Honestly, I'm really loving this book. I'm curious. I'm eagerly awaiting the whole thing, just to see how it all plays out. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.